Some other items tonight. A group of college students from Texas Tech University were in Rockport today after helping that city save about $50,000. The group was part of a project researching how cities can rebuild after suffering a massive flood, something like what Rockport went through as a result of Hurricane Harvey in 2017. The students have been working on the project since last October, and they say the biggest lesson they've really learned is that the city is essentially a big sponge. And Rockport Mayor Patrick Rios says the research conducted by these students would have cost the city about $50,000 if they had hired a consultant firm.